Okay, now I'm going to talk to you about 4 reasons you shouldn't handle your own divorce. And I'm going to read off something I wrote down, and then I'm going to go into a little bit more detail off the top of my head. So, number 1, legal complexity. Divorce involves complex legal processes. Let me pull this down here so you're not looking at my nose. Legal complexity. Divorce involves complex legal processes, and there are numerous forms, documents, and procedures to navigate. Filling out these forms incorrectly or misunderstanding the legal requirements can lead to costly mistakes or delays in your divorce judgment. And that's all true. So, even if you have a simple case, let's talk about complex legal processes. It's a court of law. I know you're amicable, but you still have petitions to file and serve, disclosures to prepare and serve. Certain things get filed in one case. There's 3 different types of amicable divorce cases you can go down: default with agreement, uncontested, and then, or 2 rather, and then you have default without agreement, and then you have contested if you're going to court. So there's a whole big process there. I talked to a gentleman today who is amicable. They have a lot of decisions to make. They have pensions and the whole thing. I say you got the whole family unit. You got pensions, house, kids. All those decisions have to be made. Long-term marriage, and they're going to try and do their own divorce. And they both work full time, so it's a lot to get into. And he was saying, hey, the website's not, court website's not that useful. I can't even figure out where to file. We printed off the FL 100 and sat to get down to go over it and that sort of thing. And so they were going down that route, but we had a good conversation today. Numerous forms. That was next. No doubt there are numerous forms and there's numerous steps, numerous documents, and then the procedures. We're kind of talking about all that. Lump that all together on top of you trying to make potentially emotional decisions. I tell folks, it's, we handle amicable divorce. There's different variants of people being amicable. I had one client today, hired us today, had a consultation yesterday, hired us today. And she looped in her spouse, and the heading of the email was, let's get divorced. So that's how amicable they were, that after her consulting with me, explaining it to her spouse, about, hey, let's hire this guy. And when she emailed me just to make sure, let me know that I knew her spouse was on board, the subject of the email was, let's get divorced. So I just thought that was funny. I hadn't seen that before, but that's how amicable some people can be. Number 2, emotional stress. Divorce is often an emotional, taxing experience. Attempting to handle the divorce paperwork and legalities on your own and add unnecessary stress, making it harder to focus on your emotional well-being and the well-being of any children involved. So kind of goes back to what I was saying. You're dealing with the complexities and the forms and the documents and procedures. And then now you're going to do your own paperwork and have to write down and make these decisions. So you're looking at the court website, you're printing off forms, you're trying to talk with your wife or your spouse and come up with decisions about custody, child support, spouse support, property division. Are you going to sell the home? Are you dividing pensions? Number 1, where are you going to find the time to do that? I mean, you're going to take off of work, I suppose, and then miss work and not get paid. You're going to do it in the evening after work when you should be spending time with your kids or your family, or watching the news or doing whatever you do in the evenings. Definitely, one thing I tell folks is you're going to spend, how did I say this? You're either going to spend your time or you're going to spend your money. And either it's, if you have the time, if you're not working, you have the time and you don't have the money, then do it yourself. Sure. You're going to struggle. Trust me. Watch my videos. A lot of people do, and you could probably get through it possibly, but there's a lot of intricacies that my videos don't cover when I walk through how to do a simple divorce, whether it be with kids or no kids, or spouse support, no spouse support, custody, no, you know what I mean? So you're going to have something specific in your divorce case that I'm just not going to cover. And that'll be the one thing that causes your judgment to get rejected. So in my opinion, have a neutral third party help you. Definitely recommend the guy you're looking at right now, but, and we can help with taking off that stress of dealing with the courts, or even ending up in court because you did something wrong with the paperwork. I make the process super simple. Give me a call, set up a consultation, and we can talk through it. Even if you don't hire me, we can go over it, and anything I can do to help. Number 3, asset division. When assets such as homes and pensions are involved, the process becomes more intricate. You may not be aware of the best way to negotiate or divide these assets fairly, potentially leading to financial losses or disputes down the road. So I don't know, that's a little dramatic. There could be financial losses or disputes. You took entirety of your pension, and your wife took all of the house, and if you had to pull money out of the pension, I'm just making things up here. If you had to pull money out of your pension because you needed money for one reason or another, then there's going to be a taxation problem. So things like that can come up. Maybe you don't know that you can offset a pension that's for a house. I had a conversation with a gentleman today that they had already got that all hammered out. I mean, they just only had a few things to figure out, but wife was going to keep the house and he's keeping his pension, and there was more to it, but that was a big part of the decision of how they were dividing things up, and that's totally possible. A lot of people aren't aware those are things that you can do, and they also worry about, will the court allow an unequal division of assets and all these things. In 15-minute consultation, I can answer all of your questions, put you at ease, and then if it all works out, you can hire me and I can show you how easy I can make the divorce process for you. Number 4, alimony and support. Determining spouse support and child support can be complicated with guidelines varying by jurisdiction. California, that is it's pretty much the consistent through California. Mistakes in calculating support payments or not understanding your rights and obligations can result in unfair financial consequences. So with our clients, the level of fairness is what you and your spouse agree to. We don't represent you. Our clients don't have attorneys. They're self-represented. I can give them resources and information written by attorneys to understand their rights so they can make informed decisions. You can always go to an attorney, have a consultation, have your rights explained to you so you can make informed decisions as well. But honestly, everything, if you know the right terms to search, everything is out there written by attorneys on their websites. But yeah, child support, we have access to running calculations for support, both spouse support and child support. There are some free calculators out there. When you turn in a child support order as part of your settlement agreement, you do need to include the child support calculation. We have the ones that the courts, there's several versions of it, maybe half dozen. We pay for a program that the court knowingly accepts this version of the child support calculation. If you have child support, you do need one. If you are, they want to see what the guideline amount is. So if the calculation is, $500, but you want it to be $300, then you have to do a non-guideline order because it's a lower amount. You don't need a calculation if you're doing reserved jurisdiction. And then keep in mind, maybe you want to keep child support, the child support order completely out of the settlement agreement. You guys are going to pay child support or receive child support, but you don't want the government knowing. This came up on a conversation today. You don't want the government knowing, or maybe you just don't want an official court order for one reason or another, because none of their business, and you're going to handle it outside of court. In that case, we can write it up as reserved jurisdiction. We don't need a child support calculation. You guys have whatever out of a court agreement you want, and it gives you that flexibility there. So spouse support, you do not need a spouse support. You don't need a spouse support calculation submitted. Those numbers are not like child support where it has to meet some kind of state minimum or anything like that. One thing I want to add is keep in mind in closing here, I operate as a neutral third party for you and your spouse. So you and your spouse can use the same person, me, and I handle cases directly with you, and I interface with the court directly. So you have me as kind of a bounce ideas off of. I handle the paperwork, I handle the filings. You'll never talk to the court. You'll never have to go to court. 99.9% of the time. I think it happened once in the thousands of cases I've handled. Something weird happened with the court. They just had to go in, and the court had one question for them. So it's kind of, anyways, but 99.9% of the time, you will never go to court. You'll never have a hearing. The judge is not going to interfere in your decision making. We do all the filings. We get them, petition filed, get the disclosures done, draft up your settlement agreement. You guys sign it, notarize it. We mail it in. We do the whole thing. Courts just know that. And the other thing is, I made a funny video. It wasn't funny, but comment about. I think the video is why the courts hate you or hate self-representing clients, about how your paperwork's so bad. When we turn in your paperwork, We have a cover letter and all that, so they know it's coming from a registered legal document assistant. So they're not going to toss it aside and say, "Oh God, here's another self-represented litigant," not knowing what they're doing. This case is going to be a giant mess. I'm going to maybe delay reviewing this for an extra month until I have some free